is the house for Bishop Montpellier. And then he was Bishop here, a very important man during the days of the treaty as well. She's going to tell you a few bits and pieces, and so I can focus on my driving amongst these guys too. So without any further ado, you're Rach.
Come in one side
Yeah.
Far south is around the Coromandel. It's quite a large travel distance. Having said that, they're not doing that every day, and there are individuals, in particular the squad that we've got here, that do like to spend a large amount of time in the Bay of Islands, which is awesome for us. We get to come and hang out with them in their natural environment,
more than baby.
pretty much on a daily basis.
There's about 6 down there. I didn't think they'd come this close in.
Dolphin usually travel in... Sorry?
Yeah. Do we swap it? Sorry?
Out to the right hand side, in front of Carina and in front of our boat as well, so...
Coming in here, and he had a good sorts of bits and pieces going on, and right now it's owned by a syndicate. There's about 20 people involved in the syndicate, and they're all sort of got a big round table that they make the rules around, and they're not allowed to build anywhere else but this side of the island. The rest is all open for a bit of farming. It is the only commercially run farm in the Bay of Islands. They've got a bit of forestry as well, and a vineyard. But you can go and stay here as well. You see the little cream house on the left hand side of the wharf. That is for rent as well. It's a lovely place to come and stay. And lots of my family stay there. Some beautiful walking to do. And the thing about the islands these days is the fact that they're all completely pest-free. All the pests have been eradicated from them, which is wonderful. And lots of endangered bird species have been released on the islands. Those Pahudakawa trees in flower. There's only one time of the year that we point the flowers out, but the rest of the year we talk about this time because it's such a wonderful time where everything is just so colourful. Now this property has always just been privately owned. It was once owned by the Fuller family as well, and they started the cream trip way back in 1927. Now the cream trip in its original days was picking up the cream from all the farms. It started to bring the mail out as well, and dropping people off and supplies, and they were just taking visitors and holiday people along for the ride. Obviously that became a very popular event, and the cream trip developed and developed to the product that you'll find out about today. And you'll find that there is around the 12 volcanoes in this region. Now the volcanoes were all active around 1 million years ago, give or take a few hours. Now, a million years ago, there was a black seagull. Is a predator to the baby birds from the terns, the red-billed gulls. Early stages when they're born. That is when the black seagull comes in. There's a bit of breakfast of them. So a lot of the birds will nest sort of on the side of this slope. Protected, but of this some bad weather coming through.
Sky was below.
Probably pregnant. Maybe it's so like that. Leave it? Really don't know.
That's pretty.
But this island is quite amazing in our history too. A couple of years after Captain Cook had landed here, the French landed here. His crew were suffering from scurvy because they left France with way too much camembert and they've forgotten to take their broccoli. So you got to eat your broccoli, eh? The ships needed repairs as well, including new masts. And they landed on this island and they collected a kauri tree from the mainland, the way behind this island on the left-hand side. And they started to prepare to go into the boat. During the day, the crew were working on the trees, and then at night, the crew would come back to the island here. Now they'd written down in their logbooks how good the relation was in between.
Here on Ratatouille Island, looking down towards our boat in the harbour. That's our boat. We're exploring the Bay of Islands. And again looking down at the green seas and the islands in the distance.
Oh no, it's not close. Oh, holy what?
Would come up here, they would put smoke signals out to warn them from the people that might not have been that friendly. It wasn't until 1769 when Captain Cook came around the corner that he also gave it his European name, and that was Percy Island, and he named it after the first Lord of the Admiralty, Sir Percy Brett, a gentleman that helped to finance a strip and a good friend of his. So he named the peninsula and the island in his honour, the island, Piercy Island, and the peninsula coming out here, the Cape Breton Peninsula. Then had a crane on it with a big cane basket on the end that they could lower down the stores or the lighthouse keepers themselves. That crane was washed off now in a very big storm that took place here that had waves washing around the foundations of that house. Pretty full on, eh? Greywacke. Greywacke is a very old rock type, and here up north it's about 120 million years old, while the mountains in the South Island are about 160 million years old. And they are due to the tectonic plates that have played parts here, and the tectonic plates have pushed up New Zealand in the making of it well, and that will make me decide on what I want to do. If I would find a calm place to go through, I would then get to the other side of the hole, and as you see, it looks pretty lumpy up there. So the easier part might be to get through the narrow entrance of this place, which still only gives me a few meters on each side.
And here we are
I'm just
on the
opening
beach.
my beer on the Christmas Eve on the beach with Ben's flip-flop. Cheers. Merry
Cheers.
Christmas.
Merry Christmas,
Merry
everyone.
Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
I'll take a picture. Need to try a picture.
Here comes them.
Pull the fan down. You really feel it.
And here we are burning our feet and on the sand at the hot springs on Christmas Eve. Who would have ever thought it?
Bad thing a bit later. Bad thing come at the start. You don't want to start because you've got to do all the hard work. I think the tide looks like it. Oh, it's tide's turn though, isn't it? Yeah.
Tide's turn at Cathedral Cove. We are now on Christmas Eve. It's about 7:20 in the evening. The sun's going down. And we're looking out to sea. Beautiful now we're here for the evening on Christmas Eve. Very, very different.
You better put the hat on. 20 degrees that water, perfect temperature. Sorry? 20 degrees the water, yeah. Really nice. It's 18.
Oh really?
Yeah. Really.
Still be warm enough for that.
In Perth. Esperance way.
Yeah, okay.
God, it's freezing here.
You keep sharp there too.
Yeah, that's right. All the preachers say that. They say, watch out, it's dark.
High Beach, where we've just been kayaking. You see the kayaks there, and we've been out to past those boats and to the Mary's Knolls, which is where we went to, and round on the corner to Cathedral Cove, where we went and had a lunch break. And kayaking was much better than it was the previous 2 times. Excellent, in fact. A nice day to spend Christmas Day morning. And normally on Christmas Day in the morning we'll be having breakfast maybe, but not on a barbecue. About 3 or 4 I think.
I don't think there are 3 or 4 to have.
Well, in that case 2 or 3 or 2.
Are you having toast as well?
Summit walk. We're going to walk to the top. It's about 15 minutes. See these islands across as well. And the view from the top of Paku Summit.
Why would it come
Are you sure? Viewing what's known as the New Zealand Christmas tree.
You're looking in the distance towards the Alderman Islands, the Ruamahunda Island, which is furthest away, the Ruamahuti Island, which is to the right side, and the middle island, and then the front one is Hongiong. But not this front one is called Shu Island. So there's 4 up there. And then if you turn to the right, you've got Slipper Island, which is the big one, Mare Island, which is the one in the distance. Coming forward back, you've got Penguin Island, and then Rabbit Island, which is the smallest. Well, there's an even tinier one, but that doesn't seem to have a name.
And this is Wahihi, which is an old mining town. You can see all the excavations of all the mining that's taken place. On the side there are poppies representing all the people of Wahihi who fought in the war. The wars are never returned. And on the right hand side is an old Cornish mine and a winding gear, and apparently it's lit up at night. And what Mount Tubaronga?
We didn't bother to put the battery back in our camera.
We don't put it in because you told us to leave it out.
No, let do it for battery.
I think this is set in there.
And here we have the kiwi fruit. Growing the biggest kiwi fruit market.
Look how many you've got on the bloody book.
The museum's shut. But this is what we want to see. And as you can see, there are absolutely loads of kiwis, and you can come and pick them. They want pickers, so that's maybe a job for the summer. Rotorua, looking at not a geyser but a mud rock pool.
Really?
Yeah.
Another lake with Lots of steam coming off the water.
Do that.
I don't
Smell.
Yes, you can't capture the smell here, but the smell is just completely...
2 dozen bad eggs.
like Kaffir's done a trump.
Oh, you never do then.
We've heard many of them this holiday.
Listen to the sound of the bubbling water. The smoke coming off the rocks at the top.
Right, then we get in the pool and I'll take a picture of you.
Oof.
It's an acquired smell.
Unlike Rotorua and Imagine. Home.
Which is the first example of a collapsed crater where underground acid action has caused the ground to collapse. Note the rough sides and yellow-greenish colours where cooling volcano vapours have coloured the walls. Mango crater, named after the sulphur crystals and coloured mineral veins exposed in the kaolin clay walls of the crater. An oily slick is visible on the top of the boiling water at its base. During the summer, when the rainfall is less, the water becomes less fluid and resembles a boiling whirlpool. Opposite the crater is an area of steaming ground. Where the steam leaves the ground, crystals have formed around the vents. These vents are known as fumaroles.
Thunder crater.
A collapsed crater formed in 1968. It graphically illustrates how unstable the land can be. Note the steaming water at the bottom, which was responsible for the erosion.
It's bloody freezing.
Devil's Ink Pots, a series of mud pools whose water levels fluctuate with the amount of rainfall. The colour is due to small amounts of graphite and crude oil brought to the surface by the water forcing its way up.
Crude oil.
Yeah.
It relies on rainwater, though I've never seen it dry.
Yeah. This is known as the artist palette because of the different colours.
Overflowing water from the champagne pools draws with its minerals that originate from below the surface. As the water is cooled and the minerals are exposed to our atmosphere, they show themselves in a variety of locations and colours depending on water levels and wind direction. On the left of the palette is a geyser from which steam rises and water can erupt to a height of 1 metre.
And the panoramic view.
And the Allen Cliffs to your right.
Yeah. The Allen Cliffs. The oyster pool with its distinct shape.
Viewed from the track, there are magnificent examples of undisturbed crystallised sulphur formed as hot sulphur. Geysers have cooled in the sheltered atmosphere of the overhanging cliff. It's not geysers, it's geysers. G-A-S-E-S.
Oh yeah.
Looking at large anthills, the bounds of sulphur were formed under the water and were exposed when the area was drained for road formation further to the east in the 1950s. 1950s? Yeah.
This is the Champagne Pool.
The spring is the largest in the district, being 65 metres in diameter and 62 metres deep. The surface temperature is 74 degrees Celsius and bubbles are due to carbon dioxide. The pool was formed 700 years ago by a hydrothermal eruption, the rocks from which can be seen at the top of the embankment of the track. Minerals contained in the water are gold, silver, mercury, sulphur, arsenic, thallium, antimony, etc., and are presently deposited in the surrounding sinter ledge. The various sinter ledges have been associated with tilting of the pool as a consequence of earthquake activity. The Inferno crater. The crater has a bottom of violently boiling mud. In recent history, an earth archway linking the sides has been completely destroyed by the action of the acidic steam.
Just see the mud way in the distance.
Back, a large, ruggedly edged crater joining the bush line with an amazing natural watercolour at its base. The colour is a result of excess water from the Champagne Pool mixing with sulphur and ferocious salt. Changes in the colour through green to yellow are associated with the amount of reflected light and cloud cover.
So now the sun's come out, it's probably clearer. There's the geezer waiting to go. Should go off at 10:15, but it's now 17 minutes past and it hasn't gone off. So we want our money back.
Are you on geezer time?
No, I'm on New Zealand Eastern time, whatever it's called. Will they ring a bell when it goes off?
Nothing's working.
Oh, it's a microphone. I forgot the remote. No, we don't have a remote, we don't have a switch, we don't even have a cap or a button. Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa, no mai haere mai, ki Waiotapu, kia ora!
Kia ora!
We've got like 1,500 people here. Kia ora!
Kia ora!
Yes. So kia ora, good morning, welcome to Waiotapu Thermal Wonderland. My name is Dave, I'm the head guide here at Waiotapu, and welcome to the Lady Knox Geyser. But before I talk about our lovely lady, there's just a couple safety issues to cover. So for those of you going to the thermal park after the eruption, please be aware that we're all entering an active volcanic area. And for our safety, it's very important that we all please stay on the formed pathways. Follow that, we'll see what happens. Boom! No, I've got a few minutes to talk to you about what's happening below my feet. Within a few minutes, we'll see bubbles forming around the opening of the vent, and as that hot water forces its way up through the cooler layers, we'll then see the water beginning to surge as she builds up to her eruption. At this point, I may have skeptics sitting in the crowd saying, "Hey, that's not a natural geyser." Been inducing her for the last 80 years or so. When she erupts, water's going to get spat out up into the air and it may drift over towards the crowd. Don't worry folks, if it gets to you, it will be nice and cool. It'll just have a slight soapy feel to it. Now to get something that looks like this hot spring to look like this geyser, what happened was prisoners came down here, placing rocks around the base of the hot spring to try and create a restriction or a chimney. Their reason for doing so was purely for their own entertainment. So back in those days, they did not have TVs, computers, or Pokemon Go. They had their own fun. by creating a chimney, forcing the water to a more narrow opening. This then in turn created a stronger jet. Reservoir below her holds 30,000 litres of water. Natural eruption cycle, this is somewhere between 36 hours and 72 hours. Now, she can erupt for up to 1 hour, reaching varying heights of between 10 and 20 metres high. How high she does go, how long she plays for, this is dependent on barometric pressure and the amount of groundwater available in a 24-hour period. Now you can find geysers in 3 other main areas throughout the world, the largest being in Yellowstone National Park in the United States of America, with another group in Kamchatka in Russia, with a further cluster in Iceland. Now it's actually Iceland that gives us that word geyser. In English it simply means to gush forth. Down here in New Zealand we don't call these a geyser. Geyser to us is a 2-legged old boy and not one of these. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask any of the staff here. So please take plenty of them.
Take one with the
Yeah, the water is going down there. Then I see your
and the wood tools.
What?
That was a good one. That's a net. And capturing the mist on the cream.